The corridors of the Galactic Research and Education Academy reflected the diversity of races gathered from all corners of the galaxy. In the main hall under a massive dome, students had gathered, awaiting the start of the annual Galactic Talent Competition. Those present were the brightest minds and bravest warriors from their planets. Humans, however, were often the underdogs, typically looked down upon by the other races. As Ephraim took his place among the crowd, he could clearly feel the disdain in the gazes around him. His short stature, plain attire, and the humble demeanor typical of humans made him seem weak and insignificant to his rivals. But in Ephraim's mind, strategies for the competition had already formed. Despite his seemingly ordinary appearance, this young man represented Earth's scientific innovation and cunning on the battlefield. The first round was focused on developing outdated combat drones. All competitors received the same type of drone and were given a limited time to upgrade them. Ephraim's rivals immediately dove into modifying their drones, using their advanced engineering skills and technological advantages. Meanwhile, Ephraim carefully examined his drone, analyzing its strengths and weaknesses quickly. Compared to the flashy techniques of those around him, he adopted a simpler approach. Ephraim focused on optimizing his drone's internal systems using nanotechnology developed on Earth, which was still a mystery to many galactic races. First, he balanced the power distribution to increase energy efficiency, and then reinforced its outer shell with a lightweight but durable alloy to improve its maneuverability. While the drone appeared weaker, its agility and speed would surpass his rivals. With the start of the competition, the drones were released into a battlefield. They had to navigate a vast simulation filled with various obstacles and robotic targets. Ephraim's drone initially seemed to move slower than the others. But this slowness was a deliberate choice. Instead of accelerating immediately, it observed the moves of its rivals and chose the most optimal path. The other drones darted around, showing off their power and agility, destroying robotic targets with laser weapons and impressing the audience. But when Ephraim's drone made a sharp turn and slipped between two enemy drones to hit a target with precision, it captured the crowd's attention. Then, to evade an approaching Kraithan's drone, he made a quick maneuver, dodged a laser strike, and disabled the enemy's weapon system. As the chaos on the battlefield grew, Ephraim's strategy became clearer. He anticipated his opponent's moves, evaded their attacks, and disrupted their plans with every maneuver. When a Kraithan's drone cornered his, not realizing it was walking into a trap, it fired its laser. But just then, Ephraim launched his drone upward with a sudden burst of speed, dodging the attack. The Kraithan's drone missed its target and crashed into a wall, rendering itself inactive. Ephraim's prowess lay not only in his drone's mechanical capabilities but in his ability to read his opponent's minds and deceive them. While others were focused on destroying as many targets as possible, Ephraim moved through the battlefield on the most energy-efficient route, using his time to expose his rivals' weaknesses. In the last few seconds, his drone gracefully glided between obstacles and crossed the finish line while most of his rivals were still busy with targets. As the competition ended and the results were announced, Ephraim's drone was declared the winner. Silence fell over the hall, followed by murmurs of surprise. No one had expected a human to succeed to this degree. Galactic Society's prejudices were shaken by Ephraim's victory. He simply smiled calmly as he ascended to the winner's platform. This first round was only the beginning for him, marking the start of a new era where humans would be seen as more than just a weak race. They would earn their rightful place in the galaxy through their intelligence and courage. Now, more challenging rounds lay ahead, and Ephraim knew this victory was only the beginning. The victory Ephraim achieved in the first round had spread throughout the Galactic Research and Education Academy. Other students saw his success as a fluke, and most believed that this lucky human would fail in the next round, where real skills would be tested. However, Ephraim knew that this underestimation only fueled his motivation, and he prepared himself mentally and physically for the next challenge. The second stage was a mission designed to test tactical thinking and military skills in battle simulations. This mission took place in a vast holographic battlefield, and competitors had to direct their own troops and capture various strategic objectives. Each student was given a limited number of soldiers and resources, making it crucial to anticipate the enemy's moves and formulate a plan accordingly. Ephraim's main rival was Lishra, from the planet Kraithan. Lishra was a muscular, large-built warrior, and the Kraithans were renowned in the galaxy for their expertise in brute force and aggressive strategies. Lishra looked at Ephraim with a condescending expression, already plotting how swiftly he would defeat him. The battlefield consisted of a desert plateau and mountainous region. Ephraim, positioning his troops strategically, first decided to set up a defensive line. He placed scouts on high points and distributed his forces across different areas. Lishra, however, went straight for an attack, leading a large force towards Ephraim's lines at full speed, relying on the Crathan's strength and agility to claim an easy victory. Ephraim's soldiers quickly took cover, waiting for the enemy to enter their attack range. As Lishra's forces approached, Ephraim suddenly pulled back his defense line, drawing the Crathan forces into an open area. This maneuver surprised Lishra. In Crathan strategy, such a retreat was seen as a sign of weakness. But Ephraim's withdrawal was part of a carefully laid trap. As Lishra's forces entered the trap, Ephraim's hidden snipers went into action. From the high points, laser fire rained down on the enemy, catching the Crathans off guard and forcing them to reposition. At this moment, Ephraim launched a counterattack from the mountainous region. His light infantry cut off the enemy's retreat, encircling them completely. Under heavy fire, the Crathan forces struggled to pull back, but Ephraim's next surprise had already been set. Small explosives he'd planted beforehand blocked Lishra's escape routes. The explosions scattered the Crathan troops, breaking their formation further. As dust clouds rose on the battlefield, Ephraim's troops took advantage of the confusion, slipping in to engage the enemy in close combat. Lishra, furious at these unexpected tactics, quickly planned a counterattack, charging toward Ephraim's central line. But Ephraim had anticipated this move and strengthened his defenses. When Lishra's troops confronted the central line, Ephraim's soldiers emerged from cover, opening fire. The Crathan forces struggled against this human unit, which moved with agility they'd never encountered before. Ephraim's troops, with swift and decisive attacks, broke Lishra's last line of defense. Lishra's defeat marked the end of the battle. Ephraim's victory was more than just another win. It was a testament to intelligence, adaptability, and strategy. Other students at the academy no longer saw Ephraim merely as a human, but as a worthy opponent in the galactic arena. This second victory had spread Ephraim's reputation even further, intimidating his other rivals. However, Ephraim's journey was still challenging. As he advanced towards the final stage of the galactic tournament, an even greater challenge awaited him. This time, it was not just about winning the battle, but convincing the galaxy of humanity's true potential. After his victory in the battle simulations, Ephraim had risen to the finals of the competition. This final stage of the event, broadcasted across the galaxy, was a challenging task that required a combination of technological knowledge and military tactics. In the Academy's central arena, a vast holographic simulation space was prepared. This time, the competitors would not only fight against each other but also confront the threats created by the simulation itself. The final stage focused on the defense of a space station, responsible for safeguarding a critical energy source. The students would implement their defense strategies to prevent enemy forces from taking control of the station. Each competitor was provided with an equal number of soldiers and defensive equipment. The winner would not only defend the station but also demonstrate superiority over their rivals by inflicting heavy losses on enemy forces. Ephraim's opponent this time was Verna, a Yatel student renowned for her advanced intelligence and strategic skills. The Yordles were famous throughout the galaxy for their intellect and rapid problem-solving abilities, making them one of the most respected strategy masters. Verna's calm and calculating demeanor signaled that this final would be a tough challenge. As the simulation began, enemy forces approached the station from all sides. Ephraim decided to adopt an innovative tactic instead of a classic strategy when forming his defensive line. Anticipating that the enemy would attack from specific areas, he positioned his defensive equipment accordingly. However, his primary plan was to concentrate defenses deeper within the station and allow the enemy to advance, luring them into a trap. Verna analyzed Ephraim's defenses carefully and launched her first attack. Yatel troops stormed the outer layer of the station with laser fire. Ephraim's soldiers executed a planned retreat in response to this initial assault. As Verna's forces advanced, Ephraim's concealed robotic defense weapons activated, launching laser fire that caught the Yatel troops off guard. This surprise attack created temporary chaos within Verna's unit, but the Yordles quickly regrouped and counterattacked. Ephraim's strategy aimed to disrupt the enemy's attack formation and draw them into the inner defense line. As the Yatel troops approached the station's inner regions, Ephraim had established a second defense line, reinforced with laser turrets and magnetic barriers. When enemy forces entered this zone, Ephraim's soldiers and robotic defense systems opened fire simultaneously. The crossfire pinned down the Yatel troops and halted their advance. In response to this situation, Vernah made a clever move by initiating a flank attack. A Yatel unit that had infiltrated the station's rear aimed for a weak point in the defenses. Thinking that Ephraim wouldn't anticipate such an incursion, Vernah swiftly advanced towards the station's energy chamber. However, Ephraim was prepared for this type of infiltration. He had established a hidden defense system in the station's rear and deployed robotic warriors against the infiltrating unit. As Vernah's troops approached the energy chamber, robotic fighters suddenly activated, trapping the Yatel soldiers in a narrow corridor. The ensuing conflict escalated into a fierce close-quarters battle filled with laser fire and explosions. Ephraim's defense systems took advantage of the narrow corridors, systematically neutralizing the Yatel troops one by one. In the final phase of the battle, Ephraim and Vernah's forces faced off in the station's main control room. Vernah believed that her retreating forces had reorganized for one last assault. However, Ephraim had anticipated all of Vernah's moves and set a final trap. An electromagnetic explosive placed at the entrance to the control room completely sealed off the Yatel forces' advance. Ephraim's troops unleashed a heavy barrage of fire against the Yatel units, poised for a final blow. Vernah's strategic brilliance fell short in the face of Ephraim's foresight and adaptable tactics. When the simulation concluded, Ephraim's defense lines stood strong while the enemy forces had been significantly incapacitated. When the results were announced, Ephraim was declared the winner, and this victory meant much more than just winning a competition. Now, humans were seen on equal footing with the intelligent and powerful rivals from across the galaxy. Ephraim's victory fundamentally altered the perception of humans as weak within the galactic society. As the crowd in the academy cheered for this human student, audiences from all corners of the galaxy debated the strength and intelligence of humankind. As Ephraim accepted the award bestowed upon him, he knew this victory was just the beginning. There was still much to be done on behalf of humanity, and this competition was merely a stepping stone for them to claim their rightful place in the galactic arena. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in the next story.